compensation, another piece of the puzzle. The motto we go by is pay more, expect more, get more. You may not be at that position right now, but what I would recommend to move towards is the best paying organization in your vertical. So let's say you're in apparel business. Let's say men's clothing. You're doing men's clothing. You have to be the best paying men's clothing retailer in the market. Now, best paying doesn't mean you're going to throw money at people. Best paying means maybe 3%, maximum 5%. Now, you don't even need to pay more than 5%. Here's what happens in this business. We're dealing with a low income band of people, sales associates, right? Because that's where you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck. If you improve your salespeople, things are going to improve dramatically. And store manager, of course. Store manager is very, very key, very important. But let's go back to paying more, expecting more, and getting more. Here's how it works. You have a band of people who would be willing to take a retail job. It's a low-paying job, but there's a variation. You can create a variation all the way from minimum wages that a lot of people seem to be paying to maybe 3, 4, 5% tops of minimum wage. Let's say minimum wage is 10 bucks. You're going to pay, if you're paying 10% more, 11 bucks, first of all, that means a lot to these people, okay? That $1 means a lot to these people. So it becomes a word of mouth. After a while, it's not going to happen overnight, but after a while, because these people also being in the same band, they talk to each other. They know a friend's friend. They talk about who's paying what, who's making how much money. Their whole life conversation is about money because their income level is so low. Money is extremely important. So within that band of people, there's total losers at the bottom. There's a pretty good at the top, pretty good layer that you want to attract. And if you're able to attract that layer, it's going to solve a lot of your problems. These people are easy to get along with. They are brighter and sharper. They know how to talk. They know how to walk. They know how to dress much better than the total losers. So if you pay just minimum wage, you're getting total losers because there's no differentiation. But suddenly, by paying $1 more, you're getting the top layer of that band. Here's what happens with that top layer of that band. Research shows the top performer beats the weakest performer 4 times. So 400%, okay? 400% means 4 times. So top performer generates 4 times the weak performer. Let's say we're operating with 10% wage cost, okay? We said we're paying $10 minimum wage. That is not we're paying, but minimum wage is $10. So from a $10 person, your expectation is $100 an hour, okay? $100 an hour. You're paying $11 an hour to your good performer. And let's not say we're going to get 4 times, but if you get 2 times the performance of the weak person, you're going to get $200 an hour, and you're paying only $1 an hour extra. So for $1, if you do a good job promoting that you're the best paying place, you can get up to $100, okay? As simple as that. So see what you can do in terms of becoming the best paying organization in your vertical. Now, we have to have pay for performance in place. No hourlies, no, there's going to be some portion of salary, I guess, but you're welcome to figure out your compensation plan anywhere from 100% commission if you can get away with. But don't forget, the highest retail jobs are always 100% commission. Like real estate, for example. Real estate people are on 100% commission. Most of the car dealers are 100% commission. Why? Because top salespeople tend to concentrate in those areas because they're very high ticket items. So the commissions to be made are substantial, and they go to those because they are not worried about their skills. They have lots of great skills. They're not worried about the salary. They're worried about how much commission they're going to make. Because a successful retail business, real estate business salesperson can make millions of dollars. They don't care about your $40,000 salary. So if we take that as an example, at the high end level, they're working on 100% commission. Maybe that should be the model. Yet, what do most of the retailers do? They pay hourly fixed rate. So here's my suggestion for salesperson compensation. Money is very important motivator at low income levels. Pay for performance, strong reward for over target achievement. So let's say we don't want to go 100% commission, but let's make a plan for 50% commission, 50% salary. So how do we go about this? We start with an income target. We say how much our average performer should be making. Average performer means 100% of the target because that's the job, right? The job is doing 100% of the target. So that's our average person. Let's say this average person should be making $2,000 a month. Okay, so half of that $2,000 has to come from salary, $1,000 salary. Half of it has to come from commission. Keeping with the wage cost of 10%, if we're paying the individual $2,000, we expect them to sell $20,000, which means 5% commission. So suddenly everything settles down. We're going to pay them $1,000 in salary, and $1,000 has to come from commission, which means 5%, because we expect them to do $20,000 to stay with 10% wage cost. See, look at on the right-hand side what happens. If you have half of your store, half high performers, half of them low performers, here's what happens. High performers selling 40,000. Their target is 20, but they're doing double the target, which they can. And income becomes 1,000 from salary. That's standard and fixed. But they get 2,000 commission. So their total income becomes $3,000. Now let's look at the low performers. They're still going to get 1,000 salary. Let's assume that they're selling 10,000 instead of 20,000 target. They're still going to get the $1,000 from salary, and they're going to get $500 commission, so they're going to make $1,500 a month in this case. So let's look at what happened to the wage cost. Wage cost, total outlay is 3,000 plus 1,500, 4,500. Total sales, 50,000. Divide 4,500 to 50,000, 9%. You see, even when we have half of the people in the store low performance, we manage to reduce the wage cost because pay for performance is your insurance, your company's insurance against low performers. That's why it is so important. It is rewarding the high performance, somewhat punishing the low performance. So it becomes a system that generates performance automatically. You don't even have to talk about it because they're seeing it in their paycheck. And once you get this system going successfully, you're not looking back. Now, you may have a compensation plan in place and it's very difficult to introduce this because it's going to create all sorts of problems. You know what you can do? You can use this as a parallel running incentive. You say to the person, we're not touching your existing compensation plan. Whatever we're paying you, we're going to continue paying in the exact same way. But if you, as an incentive, we're going to pay you 5% commission or 10% commission, whatever the numbers will work out. So we're going to pay you whichever system pays you the most. That way, you're basically introducing an incentive program, and you're going to see the top performance shining. They're going to go absolute crazy if they see the commission incentive is going to generate more money for them. Now, I get a lot of pushback when I talk about this. People say, we don't want our salespeople to fight for the customer. You see, all of that stuff is because of bad management. I have run hundreds, if not thousands of stores on pay for performance basis. I did not have any fights or anything. There's occasional situation that you may have to deal with, which is no big deal. But if you have strong culture in the organization and strong management, there's no problem whatsoever. Now, when it comes to store manager compensation, it's all about performing at higher target. So we're going to pay them a competitive salary, but nothing rich, because we want them to make the money from overachievement of the target. We're going to be generous, very generous with the overachievement. So here's the example. At 100%, they just get a symbolic $100 because that's the job. 100% is the job. They have to deliver that target. But if they do 105, we're going to give them 300. If they do 110, we're going to give them 500. As you see in this graph, it becomes exponential. Because even look at, some people said, you are crazy to me. I'm paying $5,000. The guy may be making $2,500. I'm paying him $5,000 if he gives me 150% of the target. Because here's the simple calculation. If the store's budget is $100,000 and he did 150, that means $50,000. Let's say, for simplicity's sake, gross margin is 50%. That leaves me with $25,000. I can easily give the person who did that for me $5,000. I'm still keeping $20,000. I will always pay someone $5,000 if they're giving me $25,000. I'll do that all day long. So this is the kind of store manager bonus program you're going to instigate to see tremendous explosion of your volumes. I have seen that many, many times. Tremendous explosion, especially once they see few of them make the 110, 120, you're going to see a total change in the overall look of the organization. It's going to explode. And we have this $60,000 value non-monetary incentives. We have things that we do at the store level. One is scheduling, and scheduling is usually done by the store manager and usually done for a certain period, 2 weeks or a month. So there's a lot of fight going on to get the right day off, and everybody wants certain days off and this and that. Well, instead of, store manager has a huge trouble with this scheduling because everybody wants Tuesday. Well, everybody's not getting Tuesday because we have to keep the store open. Guess what? Who chooses the first for scheduling? Who chooses the first? If we're making a monthly schedule, the person who is the top performer of the previous period, which is the previous month, chooses first which days off they're going to take. The second top chooses second. Third chooses third. So now suddenly we have a system in place again. There's no more screaming about scheduling because everybody starts from zero every month. Everybody has an equal opportunity. So this becomes automatic. Now store manager has no more nightmares about scheduling. In fact, he pulls himself out of this choosing business because he says it's automatic. The person who's the top chooses first. Second, the bottom performer gets whatever is left, period. This is a system, first of all, clears a lot of headache from store managers, but more importantly, it's one of those systems that you put in place that constantly breeds performance, performance, performance. So the way you get to 33% increase is to turn the whole thing into a performance machine. And each one of these things that we're discussing is adding to that machine. And by the time you're finished, you created a performance machine which would do unbelievable things for you, just like they did to me. I have done all this stuff in my organizations, and I got, minimum 25, 30% increases each time. So another one is store tasks. There are tasks to be done in the store at all times, right? There's sometimes garbage, taking the garbage out, dusting the equipment product, vacuuming the floor. Depending on, some people have janitorial services, but most of the retailers don't. So what you do, you create a list of store tasks from most desirable to least desirable, and guess what happens? Who does the least desirable task for the next period? The bottom performer. And you work from there. And sometimes, if everything is taken care of, the top performer doesn't have to do anything. And that's the reward. That doesn't cost you anything. Just like scheduling, store task is a nightmare for the store manager because nobody wants to take the garbage out. But this way, we're systemizing the place. The store manager doesn't need to worry about it anymore. He needs to worry about delivering the targets. Everybody, after a little while, everybody understands this is how it runs. And the newcomers, they don't know any different. This is the way it works. Yet another system in place that doesn't cost you anything, but breeding and promoting performance silently behind the scenes. But everybody knows that in this environment, performers get rewarded, non-performers get the less than desirable treatment. And that's how you get to the performance. You have to have consequence for good performance and bad performance. Motivation. Three things. At this level we're talking about, money is an extremely important motivation. People say money is not that important. Money is very important for these people. Money becomes not important after maybe if you're making $200,000 a year and you have such set skills that you can go anywhere, you're going to get that money, then you don't have a money issue. But for retail associates, even the store managers, money is extremely important. So that's number one. Number two, very important thing in motivation is the advancement prospects. Retail business is tough business. That's why we have turnover very high. But one thing that turnover creates is advancement prospect. That's how I became an assistant manager so fast. That's why I became a store manager so fast, because of turnover. And a lot of people who have half skills and half brain can move up in the organization relatively quickly. And we call it DMS Retail Ladder System. We have a system, depending on how many locations you have, but even if you have, 4 or 5 locations, this could be done. What you do, you create ladder of stores, like from the lowest volume usually to the flagship store, right? And then you promote and demote the store managers on the basis of their target performance. So I used to do a review for store managers every 6 months. So every 6 months, people who are over target were getting to higher level store, and people who were lower target were going down. That creates a two-way traffic. That's why we call it ladder system. Two-way traffic, and keeps them motivated and keeps them performing. Another part of the ladder system is the promotions. Who do you promote? We promote from within. We make sure our people are ready, people are well trained and ready to take higher position at any given time. So if I have an assistant management position, who gets the job? The top sales associate. No questions. And I have a store management position. Who gets the job? The assistant manager of the top store. Very simple, very effective, and keeps people very motivated because they know who's going to get promoted. It's in the open. There's no surprises. There's no, oh, managers like this person more than me. That's why he got the job. No, he got the job because of performance. That's it. So we're going to create that for the motivation of the people. And final motivating factor is leadership. Leadership is very important. We have to make sure our store managers are dynamite leaders, and we have to make sure all of our managers are dynamite leaders, really. And, people sometimes question, is leadership better or management better? There's no better. You need both. You have to be both a great leader and a great manager, because those skills are called upon based on the circumstance you're in. At times, you have to be a manager. At times, you have to be a leader. So situational leadership is what we recommend, which means you're going to adapt a leadership style that depends on the development level of the individual. You cannot treat everybody with the same lens, let's say. You have to treat people on the basis of their development level, whether it's skill development, performance, whether it's personal development, whatever the case might be. You treat people differently to be most effective for that individual's needs. You have to develop the performance culture. I mentioned a couple of things about performance culture. One is talking about performance all the time. And, at the beginning, it may sound funny a little bit, but people get used to it. People know next question is going to be about performance. People know they are not going to be talking to you without touching performance issues. If you do that consistently, which is the difficult part of it, right? It requires a lot of work from the higher management to perform at the levels we're talking about. So you have to be consistent every time, every day. You have to be talking about performance. Standards, you have to set the standards very high. A lot of companies use mystery shopping. Mystery shopping, in my opinion, is useless because, well, the way it's done is useless, because I call this Retail 101. All those things that the mystery shopper checks, they have to be done 100% of the time with zero tolerance. Otherwise, I won't employ that store manager, period. Okay? Like, everything is working together here. We're promoting from within. We're paying the best money, not necessarily we're throwing money, because as you saw, even we're paying the best, we get that back in multiples. So we're doing everything right. So if they are failing to meet basic standards, which I call Retail 101, usually that is what your mystery shoppers report cover. If they're failing to deliver that 100% of the time, I don't need them. I don't want them. And trust me, if you put those standards at the level I'm talking about, they will be delivered. They will be delivered. Because the mystery shopper kind of thing is not difficult to deliver. That's why we're putting it on the mystery shopper report. But we shouldn't be in a position to need a mystery shopper report to get that performance from our stores. Those retail 101 standards I'm talking about has to be delivered 100% of the time, all the time. And your job as the higher level management is to make that happen. How are you going to make that happen? First of all, clearly setting the standards. What is the standard? What needs to be done? And then once that's done, demanding that all the standards are delivered 100% of time with zero tolerance. And if you consistently demand that, and if you do your part in terms of being the right leader and the manager and supporting them properly, they will deliver your retail 101 standards. You have to give them access and availability to yourself. This is very important. They have to feel that you are there for them no matter what. I'll give you one example. My boss, I was a regional manager at this point, my boss specifically asked me to turn off my business cell phone that stores access at 6:00 p.m. in the evening. He said, you're a head office person, you're a head office personnel, you shouldn't be keeping that open, you should shut it down, turn it on at 9, shut it down at 6. I said, I appreciate that, but I won't do that. I said, I will not turn my cell phone off, like business cell phone off, until my last store closes. Now, obviously, if you have operating in different time zones, that's a different ballgame. But my stores at the time were in the same time zone. So I didn't. But I told my store managers, I said, don't call me for stupid reasons, because I'm going to be available to you until 9:00. That's when we used to close the stores at the time. And I'm going to be available to you over the weekend, but you only call me when you absolutely need me. And you know what? They learned, and I didn't get a lot of calls during that time. I got a few, but they were important, and I didn't mind. But what that gives to your subordinate store managers in this case is a tremendous feeling of support. And they also know that you are working, because store people usually questions that, right? We're working all these hours and the head office, most of they're just having fun kind of thing. That is in their minds, regardless whether they're saying it or not, it's in their minds. So whatever you can do to lower that concern and grudge a little bit is better for their motivation. And as we said, motivation is everything.
Before I go, I want to show you 3 sets of packages that we created at different levels of the company, starting with Store Performance Solution. This Store Performance Solution, as you see, includes store management training, sales associate training, and the Super Retail Success Bundle, which has all sorts of different aspects of retail management. And we have a bonus here as well, which is the exclusive DVD collection, 8 DVD set. And all of this is only for $197, and you're saving $291. Now, when you move to District Management Solution, we're adding District Management Study Course just by itself, retail value $297, and then it includes the rest of the store management performance package, because obviously district manager is going to be responsible for the store management people as well as store people and their performance. So it just makes sense that this package includes store performance bundle as well as district manager's own training. So as I mentioned, district management training is $297 by itself, but now you can get the whole bundle for only $297. And when we move to the company performance solution, now we're adding quite a bit. We're adding operations management study program where it's applicable to senior sales management, operations management in your company. And then we have the retail brand and category management for the product side of the uh, business, like merchandising. And then, of course, we have the district management, store management, and everything. And we lined up quite a bit of bonuses for you. 33% increase formula, retail managers exclusive DVD collection, and the retail leadership solution. So all of this is only $497, and from retail price, you're saving $1,426. If you want to take advantage of this offer, just click the button below on the page, and that'll take you to this page that I'm showing you, and then you can make your purchase. Thanks very much for watching the series. We hope to see you yet on another series. Thank you very much. Bye for now.